Hello and welcome to Created by Chaos. Now, before we begin, over the next couple of months, you'll be seeing different formats and ways that I paint and so forth, trying out some new cameras and new lighting techniques and so forth to hopefully make this a lot easier. Now, I'll begin with the basics of painting miniatures. These are all resin printed 3D models and so forth, including the big crab over there. And I'll then, once I do that, I'll do videos on washes and videos on this and the other and so forth. So like at the moment we have, a nice piece of like ice. It's very much the aqua green sort of color that you get. It's very, very blue, plants and so forth. Now, most of the brushing for terrain is either one of two things. It's either a dry brush or a wash. And I'll just show you a dry brushing technique here today, and then we'll go on from there. Now, I'm also learning editing, so bear with me. It's going to be a bumpy ride to begin with, but I hope at the end I can give you something worthwhile. Now, before any miniature, this is a little palisade, so this is like a little fortification, Warhammer, D&D type thing. I try to get an imagination for what I want beforehand. I mean, you can do the basics of like wood and so forth, but is this setting going to be a ghost setting? Should I paint these up sort of a ghostly aqua green and so forth and have them, little gold bands on them or something, or this one over here, which is another palisade, and this one has like a skull on it. Do I do that skull in a normal white, or do I want to do it blue or orange or whatever? It's really up to you. Now, normally with both things, you've got three types of undercoat, and it's quite obvious here on the mushrooms. So either you use white or black. Believe it or not, the end result can be quite different. So, if this was black and this was white, as you can see on others, the effects will be different. And I'll show you that later on. But right now, I'm just going to give a quick demonstration of dry brushing. Now, me personally, I like to use everything to death. I've got a lot of paintbrushes that I can see off in the distance that I've had for, 20 years, and they're on their arse legs. I recently started using Citadel brushes, and these things are not cheap. But that said, I have to admit, these things are amazing. I have had these brushes, 12 months now, and I have been using them religiously every day, and they still look perfectly fine. Most brushes, if I use that much, they fall apart. Now, these things are not cheap. They're about, I think it's about $10-ish each, Australian, but they last easily 12 months, if not longer. Like I said, I've had them for 12 months, and I use them every day, and they're still looking fantastic. I think this is my oldest brush. This is the one that I've had the longest. It's looking a little worse for wear, I guess, for 12 months, but this is my go-to brush. This is the first brush I pick up. Actually, I might use this one today. That other one's a bit too big. Now, these brushes come in various shapes and sizes, and normally what I do is, if I go into a Games Workshop store and say hi to the local staff at my local store, I will pick up a brush. It's $8 or $12 or whatever, and just pop it in there. I may not use it for a couple of days or a week or a month, but I slowly build up supply. So it's like we have these brushes. These are little fine detailed brushes. I haven't used these yet. These are layer and a glaze brush. I'll get around to using them. Don't worry about that. But I'll just go in there, say hi, buy a brush, chin wag, and up I leave. Right, so dry brushing. Dry brushing is essentially layer upon layer upon layer, getting lighter and lighter and lighter as you go to varying amounts. So we have black. So then I'll put over this a very heavy dark brown, and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll put a lighter brown, but not as hard on it, and then an even lighter brown, and not so hard on it, and then I'd more likely stop and I'd fill in these little joins and so forth with gold, and maybe do the tips in a bit more of a sort of I don't know, a worn look, maybe almost white even, birchwood, very, very white. And then the stones, maybe put a bit of red in there and so forth, you know, just to give it a bit of contrast, make it look a little different. I mean, I can paint it all the same colour if I wanted to, but what's the point? You want something interesting and fascinating. So I'm going to start off with this Brownie Red. This is, I love this paint for my Necromunda. It's so rustic and old. And realistically speaking, you don't need a huge dab. I mean, a model like this, I put in like maybe 10 drops. So what you want to do is you just want to dab the brush lightly. So there I've got a fair amount of paint. Okay, so I'm an old-fashioned sort of guy, so I like to just use my hand, rub it in there a little bit till I get the consistency I like, and then just gently rub it over. It doesn't have to be too huge. What we're trying to do at the moment is just get that very base wood feeling. And you can see it up close here. It's, you start to recognize all the little wood pieces and so forth. Pop some on those rocks as well. Why not? While we're here. Now you see there's a little bit here that I didn't undercoat. I've missed it there. It's not a major concern, and the reason for that is in nature, in particular, nothing's ever perfect. Nothing's 100%, all the same, looking immaculate. I mean, I love looking at Pinterest. Pinterest is something I really enjoy. So if I'm looking up rust, I'll look at rust and saltwater rust, freshwater rust, rust on copper, rust on lead, rust on this, rust with paint, rust without paint. And you start to learn the fact that nothing is quite what it seems. And it's the same with nature. I mean, I've seen look at your own hand. You think it's tan, but then you'll see slight bits of red, a little tinge of green or blue in there as well. So don't be afraid to, oh, I've missed a bit there, I've got to redo the whole thing. No, just go with it. Enjoy it. So there we have it. That's just basic undercoat. Now, you've also got these little gaps in here, and this is where we'll do washes and so forth later on. This is a little annoyance, but at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about fun. It's about enjoying myself. I mean, I paint for relaxation. I paint because I love doing it. If you don't love doing it, get someone else to do it for you. These are more tutorial videos to help out new people or people that are just, interested in learning something a little different. And I'm quite surprised, really, how many people that have been painting for a while just don't understand dry brushing. I was quite shocked. All right, so now you can see here, this one here has got a lot of red on it. And this one here doesn't really have much, and this and so forth. It's good to have a little bit of variety, because when I put the next lot on, it'll help it out. It makes it look a little bit more natural, a little bit more organic. Now, that's pretty much done, okay? I have another one here, and I could do this the same. Actually, no, I'm going to do that one a little bit differently. So, by now, it's a very, very muggy day here. Very, very hot, very dry. I've even just put on the air conditioner. That's how warm it is. I want to see. Now, when you dry brush, you let the model dry completely. However, there is a school of thought by some people that you can not wait completely. Give it a fair while, but then paint a little bit white, still a bit wet, just to make it blend. Now, I know most people would not agree with me. They'd say, oh, no. It's all got to be, perfectly dried and so forth. And 99.9% of the time, I would completely and utterly agree with them. But when in Rome, let's give it a go. So I've got a lighter one here. So I'm putting it over the top one once again, but I'm not going as hard. So it's still being applied, and it goes over the top. Now, dry brushing isn't always just a smear over everywhere you go, but I'm doing these as tutorials to show you the best I can, so that's what I'll do. So we give it a good old-fashioned wipe down. This one I wouldn't be anywhere near as hard. So yeah, I'm just going to put a little bit more on the top there. And don't be afraid to have a cloth nearby. If you don't like it, wipe it away best you can. Now, unless of course you're entering a painting competition, most people aren't going to care, and I will say quite honestly, I am my own worst judge. I really am. I'm always like, oh no, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. But, you know, I take these to my D&D players, and they look at them and with awe and and oh my goodness, how did you paint that? Oh my goodness, you know, I could never do anything like that. But you're looking right here and looking how easy this is. I mean, look, this is less than half an hour's work, really. And look at the detail. Look how beautiful it's looking. Myriad of orange, and this is like a mustard color. And now, that's looking pretty good for me. I mean, for what it is, it's quite nice. Now I'm going to put these rocks in a grey at a later date. Bands will more than likely, I don't know, they might stay the way they are, to be honest with you. But I will more than likely do the tips here, I don't know, in something maybe like a sort of like a washy and a green colour to give them that sort of like, you know, poisoned look, I guess. You want, you know, we are in some respects the lords of illusion. We create, you know, beautiful models, and I'm not saying mine is Leonardo da Vinci's, you know, perfection, but I look at my stuff with pride. I love the way it looks. There are not many models I can honestly say I look at and go, yeah, that's pretty bad. And at the end of the day, you're doing it for fun. If you're not doing it for fun, you're doing it for profit. And I'm rambling, aren't I? Anyway, look, the bottom line here is you want it to make it simple and easy. And that's what I'm doing. Now, there you go. That's pretty much done. That's 2 dry brushes. Done. It looks old, it looks rickety. And like I said, I can now, if I really wanted to, if I can quickly find it, that's a silver, some orange, there we go, we've got some toning grey. So what we'll do is, we'll just very quickly pop some toning grey into my little palette. And there we go. Get a dry brush or a small one. Now, off camera, what I'm doing is I'm just giving these a bit of a, make sure that all the bristles are quite nice. Sometimes you find the fact that the bristles get a little bit stuck together. That's with paintbrushes in general. Okay, so you want it to be nice and bristly, I guess the word is. Alright, so get some of that grey. Bit too much there, Jim. Oh boy. Okay. So got way too much on there. So you just want to give them a bit of a, you know, a stony look. This is a little too heavy-handed, I think, but that's not a problem really. So, and like I said, I'm learning to do this in front of a camera. So this is a little new for you and for me. Okay, so there we have some. I think they're a little bit overdone with the rock. What I might do, actually no, I don't think no, that's quite nice. I think it could be a little bit more lighter, maybe a little bit more of a lighter brown, maybe a bit of white or something. But for the most part, they're looking quite good. Now that took me all of, I don't know, 15 minutes or so to do after the initial undercoat of black. That's it. That's dry brushing 101. And now I can go over these bits here in a bit of gold, tips in a bit of green if I wanted to. But that's just a fine brush to go over it. It's that simple, folks. I'll do a couple more videos on dry brushing and washes. And after that, I'll start doing the more advanced techniques, things like, you know, bigger buildings and rock formations and so forth, and how to get the desired effect and such. Okay? Everyone have a wonderful day. This is Chaos out.